Right, let's talk about blackbooking horses. Excuse me. Alright, you want to learn about blackbooking horses? I want to start to teach you. First thing you need to learn, don't go looking for horses to blackbook. Alright, it's like looking for a girl at the bar. Alright, you're not going to win. Alright, you've got to wait for the horse to put his hand up. Alright, 3 techniques, proven, trusted, but don't lose. Alright, when I'm doing form on any day of racing, have a page open. Alright, this side I've got form that I'm working with. Over here in the smaller column I've got a Word document. The Word document, I record all the data that comes out of my head as I'm thinking about the par figures, right, that I create as I go down and do form. If you've watched enough of my videos, you know about that. If you're in the echo chamber in the WhatsApp lounge, you'll hear me say, this horse needs to be blackbooked. I'll be going down through a race. I'll get deep into the form line on a race. And I'll see a horse that's come through maybe the 3rd or 4th horse in the race. This horse has been beaten 2.6 and another horse is beaten at 7.5. I go, ooh, that's outside the normal. Let's put his hand up. So I'll spend 2 minutes going and investigating that race. What happened there? Right. If it all adds up, it gets put on the list. Right. That's one technique. Right. Current form analysis is how you blackbook horses. Right. That's number 1. Number 2, trial replays. Right. Visual, here, the eye. When you've been doing it for 30 years and you watch millions and millions and millions of race replays, you pick up horse characteristics, right? What I mean by horse characteristics is a horse is angling for a gap and you'll see it put its head slightly on the side and it wants to go through the gap, right? I'm not into this MMA fighting that all you guys are into, but it's similar to a good fighter. You know when you see a good fighter, right? I played a lot of cricket when I was younger. I played in the same under-19 side as Andrew Simons, Matthew Knight, who coached the English women's side. Right. Andrew died when I was in jail. I didn't get to go to his funeral. Right. I know cricket inside out. Right. This is the same thing. Right. When you see a horse put its head on the side and run through a gap and want to go through a gap, or an action, you know, you've watched Frankel win by 10 lengths and 8 lengths and 9 lengths and 7 lengths, and you watch that galloping action and you see it replicated in a maiden at Kilmore or Wangaratta or Dubbo or Hawkesbury. It sends a shiver down your spine. Visual representation in racing is so important. Right? It's things you understand because you've seen it so many times, right? The third one, punters, is when I've done the form on a race. I've done the par figures, alright? And there are 6 or 7 horses above the par for that race. You know it's a strong form race, alright? That race gets a little asterisk next to it on the conditions at the top, on that little column that I talked about earlier on the right-hand side of my screen, alright? They're the races I go back and look at. I don't care what won it. I want to know what happened afterwards, be it if I was right or wrong, right? Because they're strong form races. They're strong form races not because the public said it, not because the betting market said it, it's because what's inside my head has said it. It's called trusting your judgment, right? You hear one of the mantras I use, trust the process, part of trusting your judgment. So they're the 3 major ways that I blackbook horses. There's other ones, like breeding, right? That's something that is just, you only learn breeding when you've been doing it for a long time. You know, go and look at your stallion charts and know what the top stallions are and shit like that. But I know every distaff line, every female family around the planet, because I've been betting in every country for the last 30 years. You hear me talk about horses. I'll go, oh, I remember back in the third dam of this when it won this race. There's a video I did the other night when I talked about Millridge, right? The dam of Daneridge. And I said how much of a sensational sprinter she was, right? Daneridge is by Danehill out of Millridge, right? He's now becoming a good broodmare sire, right? I talk about Gimme the Green Light in South Africa, a son of Sebring, out of a Kenny Lake mare, Yes She Can. He's won 3 or 4 titles in a row in South Africa, size titles, and now starting to climb the broodmare ranks very quickly. I know the patterns, how long it takes a good sire to win a broodmare size title, because I've watched it around the world for 30 years. I look at sires like Into Mischief in America, right? He's won 8 titles in a row, right? Hasn't happened since the 1880s. I research history. I eat, live and breathe the sport, punters, right? So that's a little lesson about how to black book racehorses, right? Don't go looking for them, let them find you. It applies to form analysis too. Don't go looking for horses to back, make them put their hand up. It's like the girl at the bar, right? When you and your mates around a nightclub, she looks across at you and flutters her eyelid. Go and chat to her. Since she asks you to buy her a drink, walk away. Walk away. Right? It's not real merit. She's fluked and flattered. There's no hidden merit. They're Humbleton terms from Zelko Regenevic, David Walsh, back in the Humbleton days. Applied across life. It might sound weird, it might add up, but think about what I say. Think about the merit about what I say. How many times have you bought a chick 20 drinks at the bar and she's wandered home with some other guy? You know, if you look like Brad Pitt, it doesn't happen to you. But when you look like me, it happens. Right? I learned that when I was young. Right? I applied the same theory to horse racing. Right? No disrespect to females. You apply the same theory in life. Right? If you walk up to her and you have a great conversation with her and you talk about some subject that captivates both of you, I'll give a little shit of thing about it. She gives you a phone number and doesn't want you to buy 20 drinks and she goes home with her friends. I can guarantee you the next day you've got to ring her. It's better off than going home with her that night. Alright? It's much better. Alright? Because you're going to get a relationship of substance out of it. I want horses with substance in my black book. Alright? Same shit, different day, punters. Alright? Trust me. Trust the process. We win when you win.